All right, let's get to the 5 things that you might have missed overnight while you were sleeping. The 5 most important things that you're not going to see on the mainstream media. These are the things that corporate media doesn't want you to know about, mostly. Let's start with number 1 today, and it's puppy testing. You're not going to see this in the mainstream media. You're not going to see this on CNN or MSNBC or Fox News or otherwise, but you'll see it here on the show. That's right. This story is astounding, and we need to stop it. The FDA required tests on puppies, and they're slowing progress on this COVID treatment. So what's going on here? The FDA is pushing big pharmaceutical companies to test coronavirus vaccines on puppies before they reach humans. And not just any puppies, these little guys, beagles. That's right. According to doctors, these tests are both unscientific, though, and outdated. The FDA asserts these tests are necessary because they help screen out toxic drugs before they reach human beings, but the evidence shows they are inaccurate and inefficient. They're inaccurate and inefficient. An advocacy group, I put a link in the description below if anyone wants to take action on this. I've put this link from the White Coat Waste Project. They've been doing great work on this story. They recently revealed that these drug tests on puppies are being carried out to comply with an 80-year-old FDA regulation that's not based on any modern medical science whatsoever. And this is not just puppies. They're doing this on cats as well. It's really horrible stuff. Right now, to get a drug approved for sale in the United States, the FDA requires companies to undertake extensive animal testing. They must do this in order to get a drug passed. Right, we can't be our own guinea pigs, right? No, we need to take puppies and do this. Among these tests are deadly experiments on these poor little beagle puppies. That's what they're looking at, beagle puppies. Every day for up to a year they do this on these puppies. Each young dog is forced to swallow or breathe doses of experimental drugs. Look at that little guy. At the end of the test, the puppies are killed and then they are cut apart for examination. Oh, it makes me want to cry. There's a lot of problems with this model, as you can imagine, including the cruelty to the animals. Let's just put that out there front, right? The time, that's the other big piece of this, because the process can take up to a year to complete. It's outdated science. And the expense. Some of these dog tests cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they don't work. So we're footing the bill for these tests. The FDA is asking for the food for these pharmaceutical companies to carry these things out with their supervision, and then they're getting the data sent over to them. This outdated 80-year-old model. Give me a break. It's disgusting. Perhaps the greatest, though, problem with all of this from the FDA, the dog testing, is that it just plain does not work, according to the data and the scientists that are speaking out about this. Francis Collins is the director of the U.S. National Institutes of Health, wrote last year that 90% of the drugs entering human trials fail to gain FDA approval because they show dangerous side effects that weren't predicted by the animal trials. You see what I'm saying here? So they're doing like digestive drug tests and other things on these puppies. And guess what? The puppies then don't show any symptoms. And then they go to human trials, and then the humans end up having all the issues because they don't show up in the dogs. The dogs are biologically different. Newsflash, we are not dogs. We are not dogs. Why are we testing dogs to see if drugs work on us? We got to stop this. There's a link in the description below, and you can also take advantage of the hashtag, which is #CutFDARedTape is the hashtag. You can follow it on Twitter. You can follow it right here on YouTube. You can stop this kind of disgusting thing by going to that link in the description. And look at these little guys. Makes me so sad to think. These are the guys being tested on right now. Where's Grover? Grover, you want to weigh in on this? He just jumped on the internet. He's actually going to be donating some money on this because he's so pissed off about it. So he's not even on camera right now. We need to stop this. Number 2 on my list today, the things that you might have missed overnight, things you need to know about, is this Trump lawsuit. You might have heard about this. Maybe you didn't. If you read our newsletter this morning, our free newsletter at morninginvest.com, you might have heard about this. The Justice Department is moving to assist President Trump. Is now going to represent President Trump in his lawsuit against E. Jean Carroll, who's a woman suing the president for rape. This means that, yes, you, taxpayers, will be footing the bill because now the Department of Justice is going to take over this lawsuit. They're basically saying, hey, He was on the job when he responded to this lawsuit. Does that make any sense? Yes, you, the taxpayer, are now going to be footing the bill for his sexual assault lawsuit against E. Jean Carroll. Does that seem right to you? Let me know in the comments below if you think that that's right. Weigh in on this. Are you okay with your tax dollars being used in this way? The case was moved to New York State Court, and the Justice Department yesterday filed as representation of President Trump because they claim he was acting officially when he said publicly that Carroll is lying about her rape claims. So he used the power of the presidency to say that she's lying. He's calling an accuser a liar. And is that part of the president's job? I mean, so why didn't the Department of Justice defend President Clinton against allegations? Why didn't the Department of Justice defend Richard Nixon against allegations? Heck, we could go back to the Teapot Dome scandal. Let's go back to Warren Harding, for crying out loud. So anytime an accuser comes forward against the president, now that's the precedent now? Now the Department of Justice gets to step in? Think about the precedent that we're setting here. This is absolutely absurd. Her lawyer came forward and said Trump's effort to wield the power of the U.S. government to evade responsibility for his private misconduct is without precedent. He said, and it shows even more starkly how far he's willing to go to prevent the truth from coming out. If you're not familiar with E. Jean Carroll's story, she talked about it publicly. She was a journalist. She was covering a story with him when she says that he basically pushed her into a dressing room and slammed her up against a wall and says that you're really into me. We're hot. You're really into me. To which she said no, and he slammed her head into the wall, pushed her against the door. Listen to what E. Jean Carroll had to say about this.
And the minute I was in there, he shut the door and pushed me up against the wall and banged my head on the wall and kissed me. It was so shocking. He put his shoulder against me to hold me against the wall. And at that point, I realized that I was in a very difficult situation.
Did he say anything?
No.
No, he didn't. So there you go. That's the Trump lawsuit. The third thing I think you need to know about this morning is the federal deficit. We've got some new numbers out on the federal deficit, folks, and it's not good. U.S. budget deficit hitting a record $3 trillion, according to the Congressional Budget Office. Another month to go before the end of the fiscal year. We still have another month to go before the end of the fiscal year. How much more can we add to this debt? That figure amounts to $1.9 trillion more than the same period last year, more than double the largest year-long deficit on record. The difference comes almost entirely from this increased spending due to the pandemic, as you can imagine, with revenues down just 1%, but spending up 46%. Right now, we've so far spent about $6 trillion overall in relief spending on the coronavirus crisis, and you can understand Republicans' hesitancy to not want to spend more money with the amount of federal deficit. I get it, but the experts have weighed in on that and have said now is not a time for us to be necessarily worried about this deficit, that it's way more important for our economy to stay afloat. We can pay down this deficit over the next few years, but we need to keep the American economy afloat. And that's way more important right now, especially with our borrowing power at 0%. I mean, we've got interest rates are incredibly low. I'm not excited about it. But when I listen to the Federal Reserve and I listen to other finance experts say with the borrowing power of the United States right now, we have an unlimited ability right now to borrow money. All right, then let's get a plan together to get this thing paid back. $6 trillion we've already spent, only half of which was covered by tax revenues and other receipts. That's why everyone has been pushing hard against this payroll tax cut that President Trump has wanted. Republicans know that taxes are a big way that we make money. Payroll taxes are a big way that the United States government stays afloat. How are we going to do that when we want to cut all of that money? Not going to do it. The fourth thing that I think you need to know about today is Brexit. That's right. More trouble out of the UK this morning. Look, this kind of stuff has ripple effects around the world, and we need to pay attention to what's happening on this, especially in the Eurozone. Right now, Boris Johnson, the British pound has dropped 2.5% as his government right now is trying to break international law, according to experts there. He's saying basically trying to rewrite last year's divorce deal from the European Union. They're planning to basically abandon what they have already done. And they're basically saying, hey, the trade now, we're going to rewrite our parts of our trade deal with the Eurozone. But this goes against everything that they wanted by going forward with Brexit. So they're basically trying to walk back and have their cake and eat it too, or have their scones and eat it too on this. While the Director General of the Attorney General's office resigned in protest over this, other members of the Parliament have suggested that it could all just be a negotiating tactic that they're trying to use with this. But it's going to be coming up for a vote this week, and let's see what they do. But Theresa May, of course, the former Prime Minister, she stood up in Parliament and she said this is a disaster. She said this is basically undermining everything the UK stands for, and anything going forward with our trade deals is going to be undermined. Listen to the former Prime Minister.
The government is now changing the operation of that agreement. Given that, how can the government reassure future international partners that the UK can be trusted to abide by the legal obligations of the agreements it signed?
I love in Parliament, they all go, hey, 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 hey. We need a little more of that in our Congress. Yeah, here, 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 here. So now they're walking back on this. And right now, well, it's good news for the dollar, I guess. I mean, the British pound has dropped 2.5%. And that's good for the dollar for a little while. But of course, it's not good for international trade, and it's quite a mess. They should have thought about this before they decided to leave, but they didn't. Let's talk about Sturgis, shall we? This is the fifth thing that you need to know about this morning. Boy, the Sturgis motorcycle rally. Well, the coronavirus outbreak there tied to the annual motorcycle rally now in Sturgis, South Dakota, ended up generating, listen to this, $12 billion in public health costs. Yes, so that motorcycle rally in Sturgis, where no one wanted to wear a mask, everyone wanted to go up there and talk about how they love Trump and ride motorcycles and get off, don't tell me that I need to wear a mask. There was a lot of that. I watched a few documentaries on it, and just the interviews with the people there were, yeah, don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me what to do. I'm going to ride my motorcycle. I love being free. I'm not wearing a mask. Everyone went into this small town, had 7,000 population of 7,000 in that town. That's it. So all these people descend there, and then they go back. So 500,000 people came there, and then they all went home. And according to the reports out this morning, they took the virus with them. Yeah. Whoever's not happy about this. The rally led to 266,000 additional cases, or 19,000 new cases in the United States between August 2nd and September 2nd. There was a 35% increase in cases in South Dakota in counties that are home to the highest number of rally attendees. Cases rose by 10% compared to counties across the country that didn't. $12 billion. This is why it matters, folks. I mean, when people tell you it's being called a super spreader event, this is exactly what happens. All these people come in, they commingle, they go back to their populations, and then it just spreads like wildfire. It spreads like a virus. Imagine that. Those are the 5 things you need to know about today. Go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget, please, 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 you can subscribe to our daily morning newsletter. It's totally free. Just go and check it out every morning. You can sign up for the newsletter, and we publish it first thing in the morning so you can read it over your cup of coffee. Just go to morninginvest.com, and you can sign up for free. So thank you so much for subscribing.